Emmanuel Macron's been inaugurated as the 25th president of the French Republic, and he's getting straight down to business. Today he will announce his new prime minister, as well as other cabinet appointments. But even though Macron's hardly settled into the Élysée palace, he's already under attack. The former prime minister, Emmanuel Valls, laid into him, calling him a nasty politician.
I'm extremely clear about Macron and his team. Hollande is nasty, but just in one way. Macron is nasty, but he has no principles, so no limits.
And Valls could have made other less stinging comparisons too. Like his predecessor, Macron has picked Germany for his first trip abroad as president too. Peter Oliver takes up the story.
Emmanuel Macron will be hoping that his first foreign visit as French president goes a lot more smoothly than his predecessors did. Both Macron and François Hollande picked right here in Berlin as their first port of call on the international scene. However, last time around when François Hollande got on the plane to head here to Berlin, well, he did it immediately after his inauguration. His plane was struck by lightning. It had to then return back to Paris. He had to get on a completely different plane before making it here to Berlin for his meeting in the Chancellery with Angela Merkel. Well, quite more than just a little bit delayed. Emmanuel Macron, of course, hoping for none of those type of problems, those type of hiccups as he heads here. And he should receive a very cordial welcome from Angela Merkel. She's spoken publicly about how happy she is to have another pro-EU leader amongst the European heads of government.
We are happy that Mark Rutte and Emmanuel Macron, people who work on behalf of Europe, won their elections in the Netherlands and France. Emmanuel Macron, the new French president, showed his passion in the debates against his rival. We will do everything not only to help France, but also to shape the future European road together with France.
But the new French president, Emmanuel Macron, has told EU leadership, and particularly Germany, that he won't accept the status quo.
Germany benefits from the imbalance within the Eurozone and achieves very high trade surpluses. Its economic strength in its present form is not acceptable. There must be a rebalancing.
It's interesting, those comments from Macron there, because although today will be all smiles and handshakes when he meets with Angela Merkel, there is a major issue for Macron, and that's the economy. He was an economics minister under François Hollande, and people will be looking to him to make sure that he puts right what they say some of the wrongs he put in place while he was in that position. It's trade that's a major concern. Germany has a record-breaking trade deficit. It's 250 billion euros in the black. That's after 2016. France, by comparison, around 50 billion in the red. They have a trade deficit. So Emmanuel Macron is looking to try and level the playing fields on trade within the Eurozone. But he may come up against a bit of a wall there with Angela Merkel, not wanting to give away too much of the crown jewels of her economic success here in Germany, particularly ahead of an election of her own coming up in September.
War-ravaged Yemen now faces another threat on top of the violence and famine, an outbreak of cholera. More on that story after the break.
What politicians do is something we don't do. They put themselves on the line, and they get accepted or rejected. So when you want to be president, why would you want to be? Why would someone want to be president? What's it like to be president? What's it like when the phone rings at 3 in the morning? Can't be a good call. I'm interested always in the whys and the hows. And Q Larry. Question more.
Welcome back. A cholera outbreak is advancing rapidly in the capital of Yemen. According to the Red Cross, the number of cases has tripled in the past week. Over 100 people have died, including children. Well, the crisis figures speak for themselves. As of now, there are 116 dead and over 8,000 suspected cases. Local hospitals are overloaded, with many patients lying under beds and in corridors.
I saw, especially in Sebagai hospital, a hospital that is completely overwhelmed with cholera cases. There were up to 4 patients in one single bed, and there are people that were in the garden and even some sitting in their cars with the IV drip hanging from the window. So really a very serious situation.
Well, the cholera outbreak only adds to Yemen's agony, a country facing a famine. Over 17 million people have no food. That's a 21% increase since 2016. More than 2 million children are acutely malnourished, with 462,000 children suffering from severe acute malnutrition. According to the UN, a Yemeni child dies every 10 minutes. We spoke to Idris Jazari, a UN special reporter. He told us that aid is available for Yemen, but the relentless fighting makes it extremely difficult to get food and medicine into the country.
The priority, of course, is to facilitate access of vital foods and medicines. And as the fighting is going on in the port of Hodeidah at present, it's become a war zone, and it is extremely difficult for the World Food Programme and other suppliers of humanitarian assistance to introduce the food that's available for these people into Yemen. So I issued some time ago an appeal to provide safe passage for humanitarian supplies through the port of Hodeidah. It's more a question of whether the parties that are confronting one another in these regions are prepared to let them access.
A family of Scottish farmers is devastated as a major film company has set its sights on the land they've worked on for over a century. RT's Daniel Hawkins explains.
A farming family of 3 generations tending to their flock in the beautiful Scottish countryside. It's a pretty picture, but one that could soon vanish. For over 100 years, Jim and his family have lived and worked on this farm just outside Edinburgh. It's both greenbelt protected and among only 8% of the finest agricultural land in Scotland. But under new proposals, 60 acres of Jim's land is set to disappear and make way for a brand new £250 million international film studio.
This is not the right location. There is alternatives out there. We've been living in turmoil for the last 3 years. It can't be sustained any longer. We're actually at breaking point now.
Like his mother, Jim Telfer was born in the farmhouse on land originally leased to his grandfather in 1915. After serving in the army, Jim took over the estate. But since 2013, the household has been locked in a legal dispute with the landowners who want to sell the farmland to the studio developers. Jim is adamant his family should stay where they are.
The whole family is entitled to stay here. My family is entitled to follow me. I says, see these pictures on the wall? That's my grandchildren. I says, how can I tell them not to come back?
The Gibson family, who own the land, have denied accusations of trying to evict the Telfers.
A proposal was made in June 2016 that would allow the studio to be developed and would provide Mr. and Mrs. Telfer with a guarantee that they could stay in the farmhouse for the rest of their lives. In addition, we would also provide very substantial financial compensation to the tenants.
But to the family, it's not about the money.
The money is irrelevant. At the end of the day, we need to look after prime agricultural land. We can't carry on concreting over prime agricultural land when there is so little left.
Jim's got the backing of many locals who say the farm is at the centre of the community and an example to others.
We should be holding on to what we have in terms of legacy, people, land. So if we lose this to a major development like the film studios, we're losing not just this place, but we're undermining our bigger vision, both in this area but across Scotland.
The Telfers could face a lengthy and complex legal case to stay on the farm. Whatever the outcome, Jim's story has become a symbol of the fight so many in the farming community face in holding on to their legacy. Daniel Hawkins, RT, Edinburgh.
Well, the Scottish Government has already given the green light to the plans, and the first studio facilities could be operational by late 2018. An ISIL recruiter has been detained in a massive raid by Russia's Federal Security Service. The FSB added the detainee had been spreading radical Islamic views, recruiting citizens in the Volga Federal District, and was in charge of sending people to Syria to fight for Islamic State. Anti-terror raids are continuing in the area. There's been an exciting new archaeological find in Egypt. 17 human mummies that have remained undisturbed for more than 2,000 years have been uncovered near the city of Minya. The discovery could shed new light on the history of the country when it was under Roman rule.
Tunnels and rooms that were found underground are organized like honeycombs. After clearing one tunnel, at the end of it, we unexpectedly find a second one, then another, and so on.
I'm sure that news about Egyptian artifacts attracts the most attention and creates the best impression of our country. These ancient monuments are powerful symbols of Egypt that distinguish it from other countries.
Crosstalk delves into the US media's latest round of Russia hysteria. That's up next on RT.